What's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video, another quick take. I got my main man, my partner, my brother here.
2024, we're bringing it back. That's right. Like I said, I'm not a businessman. I'm a business man. The Prince of Fresh Air. Thanks for having me again, bro.
Yes, sir. So we've got a situation that, I wasn't going to talk about at first, but you know what? I got to talk about it. So we've got an article courtesy of complex.com, which says Tyrese shares his thoughts on black families, says he sometimes wishes he was born Latino. The article goes on to say that Tyrese Gibson has made some controversial remarks in the past, but his latest dissertation on black families, shared just in time for Black History Month, might take the cake. It says on Instagram, the Fast 10 star shared a heartwarming video of a Mexican man being surprised with a new truck gifted from his family. Text on the video shares that the man's kids purchased his dream truck to thank him for the meaningful sacrifices that he made throughout their lives. For some reason, Gibson used this beautiful moment as a vehicle to share some critiques of the black community. Now, I have the entire Instagram caption where he makes those blasphemous remarks. So he said, sometimes I wish I was born Latino. I mean, the Latin community is grounded in family, loyal, entrepreneurs, businessmen, and women literally represent the dream, the grind, the hustle, doing whatever it takes to stick together against all odds. If us in the black culture was more grounded in these integral, magical nuances of us, we would be dominant. I've learned a lot from the Jewish community, sticking together, eating dinner every Friday together. I've learned a lot about the Muslim community throughout all my travels in the Middle East. They have a father structure where they honor their fathers. The Middle East, the thinking and the mentality is that they would much rather have a son over a daughter because they know that there is nothing like the leadership of a father and a man being the head of the household. I have no idea how we lost our way. We can't get anything done and accomplished as a fragmented culture, insecure, threatened by each other right now, competitive towards our own race, killing ourselves every single day, frivolously, the majority of us as black men. He's got a lot of errors in here, okay? All right. And the millions are locked up in prison. Of course, we are beyond powerful, influential, and successful. But imagine if we all linked up like other communities have linked, poured and built up on each other instead of moving like fragmented and dysfunctional, I'm guessing, people. We have what it takes to take over the world. We are nothing trying to do it alone. Please chime in. Would love to know your thoughts on this. Okay. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to give my thoughts on this first because, Tyrese is somebody that I've admired for a very long time. And let me start off by giving that man, his flowers, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have started to prioritize my mental health and seeking out therapy. I used to watch Tyrese on Facebook, used to make these Facebook videos, and he used to, sit and talk about things that happen in people's personal lives as it relates to relationships, romantic relationships, and relationships with family and friends, and etc. And I remember religiously watching those things, and a lot of what he said back in the day is, how should I say, like just things that I took with me, and I say to myself, and we also have a quick take that we did last year where we defended Tyrese when he was ordered to pay like $650,000 in lawyer fees and back child support to his ex-wife. So
Crazy.
Tyrese being a famous singer, actor, public figure, whatever, how did he get there? Tyrese didn't get there by the support of Latino people. He didn't get there by the support of Muslims. He didn't get there by the support of white people. He got there because we came together and decided to support him. We're the reason why Baby Boy is a freaking cult classic. We're the reason why he went platinum in the past. Okay, so he wants to sit there and big up Latino people as if black people don't have that within ourselves. Now, obviously, every single culture comes with its own shortcomings. Now, I can't speak on Latino people because I'm not Latino. I can't speak on Muslims because I'm not Muslim, or I'm not Middle Eastern. I can't speak on white people because I'm not white. But it starts with you. Instead of praising and kissing the floor that these people walk on, how about you give that energy towards your own people? Because last I checked, he was all in New Egypt, New Agrabah and shit like that, wearing, Middle Eastern garb and then hanging out with them. And then on top of that, all the rest of them, all these Arab dudes standing on stage, they got suits on. Why Tyrese the only one on stage with a dress? Or I don't know what that shit is actually called, but he the only one wearing a blazer jacket and a dress underneath. So let's talk about it then. Tyrese, that's who you was hanging out with. When in reality, if you're going to go to a country in Africa, you should have went to a predominantly black country and then praising the culture along with people that look just like you. The grass always looks green on the other side. It always looks green on the other side. So instead of looking at them, look at what you have and focus on what you could do to make it better. So instead of saying, I wish I was Latino, I would say, I wish that things were better amongst black people. And I'm trying to think of ways that I could use my wealth, resources, platform, and voice to make things better. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, that's like me saying, oh, I wish I was white because, white people seem to have it all together, but black people don't. Well, I'm a black man. So what is wishing, that I was something else gonna do about my situation that I wish was better? See, this is something that Eric LaSalle said. He said that not everybody really understands the responsibility and the power of having a voice. And that not everybody is ready for prime time. Not everybody's ready to have a megaphone. And Tyrese, as of late, or I would say with this particular post, because you thought that doesn't mean that you go out there and say it. You see, not everything has to be on Front Street. And that to me was stupid. Because Tyrese, in the 1% chance that you're listening to this, you are black. You're not going to look in the mirror and see Carlos Sanchez or Pablo Garcia. You are Tyrese Gibson. You are Tyrese Gibson. You are a black man. So if you're looking at elements of the Jewish community, elements of the Latino community, Middle Easterns, and the values that got them to where they are from a societal standpoint, then you should be figuring out how can you, as a multimillionaire, as a famous actor, a famous singer, can use that same resources to make it better for you, yourself, and other people. This is a guy that was married to a non-black woman in his last marriage. So you get where I'm going with this. Like, it's just like, how can you be that critical, but then you're not that productive in what you're actually doing in your own personal life and your life right now? That's what I'm saying. So, but what are your thoughts, bro?
Okay. So we agree in some aspects, but we're all going to disagree in some things. So when you first brought this up to me, I thought Tyrese was on this type of crazy rant that I was like, what is he talking about? But as I read his statement and I read in between the lines, his execution wasn't exactly the greatest, but I understand what he's saying. Meaning, now, I'm half Cuban, but I'm a black man. I identify as black. I get what he's saying, meaning that as a community, and one of the things I want to touch on real quick, you said that we the ones that got him, that made Baby Boy classic and all that stuff that got him to where he is. And that's true. Mm-hmm. But there's also the other side of the people when he's going through his mental health issues. And we talked about him on the Breakfast Club a couple months ago, where they ridiculed him, man. And I think part of the reason that him, and let's be clear, he may be the most famous, but there are a lot of black people who feel the same way he does. And I think the reason why he probably said that was he looks at the negativity in the comments. He looks at the attacks that he probably gets from people in the circle. This kind of has shades of the Cat Williams interview on Shannon Sharp. Not so much what Cat Williams was saying, but in the sense that it's black people going against black people. And I think for him, his execution should have been a lot better. But I agree with him in the sense that I do think we should do a better job uplifting each other. Now, I would never say what he said, but I also understand what he's saying, that we are not united. And don't get me wrong, some of us are. But as a community, we have a lot of baggage and damage that came with slavery, oppression, and all that stuff that happened. So I'm not expecting us to just get to that point immediately. But that is something we do need to work on. And like you said, one thing I will agree with what you said too is this grass always looks greener on the other side. Now, I don't think he realized that every other, Latinos, Jewish people, they have their own set of rules too. So don't get it
Exactly.
twisted. Just because it may seem greener, on social media or the people you meet, it looks greener on the side, but you don't really know the intricate details. Because I'll tell you, as someone who's a dark skinned Cuban, a lot of people who are Hispanic look at me crazy. And I've met a lot of Hispanics who are Dominican, Puerto Rican, who are dark skinned and they get mistreated just because they are dark skinned. So I get what he was saying. His execution was flawed. But one thing I will say is I do agree with you. I do think he should use his platform to at least uplift the community, because he has the power, he has the money, he has the resources to do that. And I think that this goes back to the not Viola Davis. This goes back to the Taraji P. Henson thing. A lot of people say, "Oh, you got money. You live in multi-million-dollar homes. You got no right to complain." But there's a lot of people who have that type of money who kill themselves, who go through mental health issues because they realize, hey, just because I have this type of money, don't mean I ain't human. He still got to deal with black people and deal with the industry and have relationships and his personal relationships with his children and so forth. And I think that what he was saying, if you read in between lines, I think he was saying more of we need to do better as a community.
Well,
Now, like I said,
but that's what that goes without saying. Like, I'm not mad at him for being critical of the black community or black people, but I'm mad at him for basically just doing exactly what he says he has a problem with. So you're basically disparaging your own people, and then you're listing every other race of people, and you bigging them up instead of bigging up yourself. And then whatever little things that he is saying, like, oh, we are powerful and influential and successful. Well, it's like you didn't have to say that you wish you were a Latino person to say that. That's what I'm saying. So it's like, what you are the problem. Like, the way that you went about it from top to bottom is the problem. So basically, you're essentially saying black people ain't shit in comparison to these other people, to the point where I wish I was those people, and I wish I was something other than what I am, which is powerful in a sense, because that's like kind of like what Idris Elba was saying, where he was like, last year he doesn't want to be seen as a black actor and he just wants to be an actor. So you're almost really separating yourself from your own people to be something, to feel better about who you actually are, or maybe you not having certain things. That's the problem. See, because we've become a people, or black people are moving into a collective mentality where we're so, loving and welcoming and embracing of other people, and then we give ourselves the cold shoulder. You see what I'm saying? Like, if I were to say that, I would just say, in order for us to move forward, and anybody who's been on my channel, everybody knows that, or these people will know that not only am I critical of us, but I'm also on our side first and foremost. So I would say, in order for us to move forward, I think we should take notes from what other people are doing. So if there is something to be admired about Jewish people, about Arabs, about white people, then let's just look at what they're doing and then try to, incorporate that into how we deal with ourselves. That's it. I don't have to say that I wish I was something else, because whether that was his intention or not, that's what people are going to focus on. Because again, I tell people all the time, you got to watch what the hell you say, because words are powerful. You get what I'm saying? And then for somebody like him, where any little post that he makes on the internet is going to be seen by hundreds of thousands of people, you have to watch what the hell you say, because there's going to be a lot of other people who maybe subconsciously had the same kind of feelings. Then they're going to think it's okay to just, separate themselves from who they are and then embrace other people instead. And for us to be mad, multicultural, all this stuff. Because these people that he named, these are not multiculturalist people. They're not. They're all about themselves. They're not, you don't go to the Middle East and then see them, talking about how they wish that they were black. You don't see white people saying that they wish that they were black, or Asians wishing that they were black. No, they have a certain pride and love for themselves. But we are too busy looking at other people to see how great that we are. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Tyrese is like looking in the mirror, and then he wishes he's seeing, freaking, you know what I'm saying? Hector Garcia, some shit. Like, that's who he wants to be. Tyrese, that's what you want to be? Hector Garcia, Pablo Pueblo Sanchez. Come on, man. You are Tyrese Gibson. You are black. And there's a certain pride in that, but we can't fix that for him. So everything that he's saying is just showing to me that there's like an underlying self-loathing there. So when you see a lot of people, and I'm not saying everybody, but there are certain people that they will seek out interracial, or I would say like partners outside of their race, because there's something about themselves and their people that they don't like. So in order to compensate for that, they go and get somebody else outside to distance themselves from being black. Because, and it's not even me, this is Dr. Umar Johnson, who you choose to date, who you choose to marry is a reflection of your values and what you actually, it's like a statement of your personal values, right? So for him, I guess, like I said, Middle Eastern people, Latinos and all of that, that's what he really values more so than being black. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that. So just like how, like I said, I respect Tyrese, but I respect him enough to call him out on his bullshit.
No, I feel you. And, because this is, the real podcast, I'll be honest. The reason why I'm not going to go too hard on him, because at one point in my life, in my young, years, I'm still young, but my younger teenage years, I felt some type of way about my skin color. And, I've talked about the Jubilee episode that I've done. And, a lot of people appreciated my response. But one of the things I never said, but I used to feel like I should be white, right? And I never told anybody this publicly, but I used to feel that way, not because of I wanted to be white, actually skin color wise, but I seen the treatment I got, and I seen the type of unity, people, going out, with their fathers, and and having a family unit. Now, granted, I've outgrown that, so I would be a hypocrite to look at him and say, "Hey, you saying this when I felt the same way at one point in my life." And I think one of the reasons why, I do agree with you. I think when you're a celebrity of his caliber, you have to be careful what you say. But I'm not going to be to be respectful of where I was and what he's saying. Yeah, he's a little older, he's a grown man and he's a multimillionaire. But like I said before, a lot of people forget that these people, are people. And Tyrese has issues just as much as we do. Now, does he have to worry about paying a bill at the end of the month? No. But he has his troubles. And I think that the way he went about it, no, I don't agree with it. But his message, I think, should have been way better. I think he should have said, I wish we would work on being united. Because a lot of people do look at Jewish community festivals and say, yo, these people don't play. You mess with one of them, you mess with all of them. And I'm not saying necessarily black people are all for each other, but we do see that a lot of times we're quick to, make fun of each other's mental health, skin color.
Well, yeah, because and I've said this before. I said things with black people will finally turn around when we start to look at one another and see ourselves. So it's like, I see myself in you, you see yourself in me as a black man. You get what I'm saying? When we look at each other, we don't see ourselves, because we are the only people that have so many subcultures and subdivisions of black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, now, if you're Black American, then that means you are a FBA. And then if you are, let's say if your people are from the Caribbean, then that makes you a quote unquote tether. Like, we're the only ones that do that. We are the only ones that do that type of shit. So if we've been stuck in the certain lane, it's because we've done that shit to ourselves. You get what I'm saying? And that's what Tyrese is also doing. But you see, other cultures, again, they may have their differences, whether it's, you know, maybe religious beliefs, maybe political, you know, like leanings, you know, etc., whatever, they still recognize that they are all the same. Same thing with Latinos. I remember the one date that I ever went on with a Latino girl, I asked her about that. I said, you know, although you guys, you may have Guatemalans and Ecuadorians and Mexicans and, you know, all this and that, but I said, you guys do realize that you guys are all, you know, one people, like Puerto Ricans, Dominicans. Yeah. And then she was like, yeah, like, because they speak the same language. And then I see how, you know, they take up for each other in the grand scheme of things, at least. You know, we don't necessarily have that. Or if we do, it's very few and far between. But Tyrese is perpetuating the same discord that he's trying to criticize. And that's what I don't like. Because it just incenses me that these are the people that have the big ass microphones and they're the ones with all the money and all the support. You know, I feel like I feel like he should take it back to what he was doing years ago. And then at least I'm not saying like you got to go around like Dr. Umar and do public speakings and all of that, because that's his lane. But for somebody like him, feel like make a video and then just talk about those things. Because me, I use my platform to talk about these things too. Like I said, you know, entertainment is cool, but it's also the other things, you know, like life shit that I think is most important, like these conversations. So I think that's what he should be doing. You know, if that's the case, you know, and then never utter those words ever again in life. But I honestly do feel like deep down inside, he really does feel like that, because again, when you see him all in Egypt, you know, with these Arab guys who only like him because he's rich and famous. They don't like him because he's black, because in Egypt, a lot of them are racist out there, you know, and we did a quick take last year about that. So these people are only embracing you because of your status and who you are, you know, in the public. But if you took away all of that, you know, money away from Tyrese, all the fame and all of that, and he was just how should I say, just a regular black guy walking down the street in Egypt, they wouldn't be all hugging and you know, embracing him and all of that. So he really needs to wake up, in my opinion, and get his racial, you know, IQ up, get his black consciousness up. Because again, like whatever it is that he was saying at the end, which is we are powerful, you know, we are influential, successful, but you know, all of that, to me, those are like empty platitudes. Because at the end of the day, what you really meant, you said in the beginning. And this is about, yeah, pretty much three whole paragraphs. You know, so it's like what came out of your mouth first is what you meant. And then at the very end, you're just trying to clean it up.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. And let me just add this bit in too, because I want people to feel like I'm 100% silent when I'm not, because I'm
No,
not
you're not.
really,
No, you're not.
I'm not overly critical. I'm not overly critical.
Well, because you've been there.
Yeah, I've been there.
Because there was a part of you coming up that you admired, you know, other races of people, particularly white people, because you saw how they deal with one another. I mean, even me, I was in a position, you know, where I was around white people for, you know, I would say like a good chunk of time. And the way basically I'd be straight up. I'm like, they treated me more like family than family I've known my whole entire life. That's just a fact. And I was saying, I was like, yo, I was like, kids really grow up like this. Like, it just feels like, you know, like a cheat code. Like to just have, you know, regular parents that are just there for you. They're happy to see you every day. It's not drama or arguments or issues living with them all the time. I said, no wonder, you know, white people are ahead, because they don't have to deal with like the mental, emotional handicaps that a lot of young black men and women have to deal with growing up. They're not as traumatized as we are. Not to say that there aren't white kids that don't deal with stuff inside their house too, but I honestly feel like maybe on the outside looking in, the majority of them don't. Because when you see how, you know, they come up, how they live their lives, that doesn't look like the life of a previously traumatized person. You know, because a lot of kids, they gotta deal with, you know, like cleaning up the mess that their parents made or that their relatives made. And Tyrese is one of them. Tyrese, you know, grew up a certain way in a certain environment around black people dealing with each other a certain type of way. So I get it.
Yeah, and let me say this too, because I think this is the important thing. You know, like I said, I outgrown that, and you know, I think for a lot of people, they look at Tyrese and they say, you know, he's the pinnacle of success. You know, for a black man, you know, he got all this money, he got his own mansion, he has kids, he got a career, he's making money, he's a celebrity. Why is he complaining? And you know, I think a lot of people mistake that having money and being a celebrity it's just like this great life, because a lot of people don't realize you got a lot of people you got to pay. When you get paid, you got to pay other people. You always got to constantly worry about the gig, because in this industry, like me and you, and you're not, unless you're Dwayne Rock Johnson or Denzel or Will Smith, you constantly got to find something to keep working, because ultimately a lot of artists, just because you're a celebrity don't mean you can retire. No, a lot of people still got mortgages to pay. They still got expenses. And I think Tyrese, a lot of people aren't in the industry and they aren't at his point in his life where a lot of people um, can't understand. A lot of people can't relate to where he is in his life. And they, because of our envy, I'm not saying us, but just people, their envy for his position. Like, why is he talking like that? Well, we don't really know what it's like to be a black man at that success level and know what the industry is like, knowing what your friendships are like. Because as someone who lived in LA and met a lot of high end people, a lot of them are lonely because the scene is different. A lot of people think because you're a celebrity, life is all glamorous. It's not always true. And I think that Tyrese is probably reaching a point in his life where he's fed up with. Truth be told, I wouldn't be surprised if I think he has came out talking about mental health. I think he's going through some mental health things, but I also think that we don't really know what his circumstances are in his life where he feels like that, and that's not saying 100% excuse what he said, but I think that until we're in his position to see what he sees.
Man. First of all, Tyree, like I said, whatever space he is in his life right now can't be that bad because he's got time to make posts like that, and then he's constantly flashing, his Zelly girlfriend and all that shit, on Instagram. Happy for the both of them, because it's really not even about that,
No,
because that's not, because that's not what he talked about. He really talked about the fact that he wishes he was Latino, which again is strong words. Because to me, that's like if, all right, let's say you have a business, you have a fast food restaurant franchise, and I have my own. And then let's just say the sales of yours is just, exponentially better than mine in all aspects of, business ownership. Instead of me saying, that I need to figure out what he's doing in order for my sales to be like his, I just turn around and say, I wish I owned his restaurant instead. What the fuck is that? Like, yeah. You get what not realizing like the position that I'm in as whatever I am as his restaurant owner. That's basically what he said. So instead of me making my situation better, let me just wish I was over there instead. That's so stupid. And there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to share the same sentiment and find little nuances in what he said to try to rationalize it. I can't rationalize that knowing what I know. Tyrese doesn't know what the fuck I know. Clearly he doesn't. And then wealth obviously doesn't afford people that, like a certain type of consciousness. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Tyrese has been through it. Okay, just like everybody has. Like I tell people all the time, like, just because you are rich doesn't make you exempt from the struggles of life. That's why they say, more money, more problems. Like him, last year he was in court. Why? Because he decided to marry a non-black woman. And then as soon as things, didn't go right, she tried to drag his name through the mud, and then also $675,000 out of his pocket in lawyer fees and back child support. So that was on him, for choosing, a non-black woman. You get what I'm saying? So he already sees that, you can go and get a non-black chick, and that relationship is not going to be exempt of his problems. So the same thing he probably would have dealt with a black woman, which I guess was his first wife, is the same thing he ended up dealing with the second one.
Right.
So, my point is, it's not about wishing you were something other than what you were, because that's never going to happen. So it's like me as a black man, I'm always going to be a black man. That is who I am. Just because I was treated better, by, white people than I was, my own parents at one point, doesn't mean that I should want to look and literally be them. I should just say, all right, you know what? Let me just take elements of what I enjoyed and what I liked about them, and then let me just apply it to the relationships that I have and the relationships that I'll have with kids,
right?
That I have in the future. That's what he should be saying. And to me, it's just very irresponsible as a 45-year-old multimillionaire who's been around the world multiple times. This is all you know? Like, this is literally the extent of, like, your knowledge, your whatever wisdom you have. Like, nobody's perfect, and I'm not saying being rich makes you this all-knowing, genius or none of that. I mean, it doesn't. But at the same time, it's like, my nigga, like, get a book, watch some documentaries, read, link up with Dr. Umar Johnson. Honestly, Dr. Umar Johnson needs to get with him, and get his mind right or something, because like, yo, where he's at, it just doesn't really make any sense to me, because again, the majority of the people, and I'm willing to bet the majority of the people of the majority of his fan base, majority of that fan base is black. That is a fact. Okay. You go to a Tyrese show, black people, we're the ones who know the lyrics to his songs. If you start singing Sweet Lady, who's singing it? Us. If he's singing Shame, who's singing it? Us. I'm not saying that he don't have non-black fans, but I'm saying, yo, we're the ones that held you down. So collectively, in order for you to have gotten there, there had to have been some unity as it relates to black people that got you to that point. Because celebrities don't make themselves celebrities. People have to go out and buy their records. People have to support them. So where he is right now, he has his own people to thank for that. Not Muslims, not Jewish people, not white people, us. And if you have, a critique about how we deal with each other, then be literal or be intentional with your words. Because when you turn around and say, I wish I was Latino, then you're literally setting yourself up for people to miss your point, whatever point it is that you were making. So it's like, even if he tried to say something, that's not what you said. That's why, even though I like Tyrese, it's like, I can't rationalize that. Because just because I try to say something, like, let's say if I try to apologize to you, but if I didn't in fact apologize, then nigga, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Tyrese, yo, like, I don't know, man. It's just unfortunate that these are the people that are being listened to. These are the people that are being watched. These are the people that are being followed. Unfortunately. And again, like, I was somebody that used to follow Tyrese in terms of his beliefs on mental health and, taking care of yourself. Because I'll quote him. He was like, yo, like, he's like, you're having conversations with your cousin about stuff you're going through in life. He was like, yo, your cousin doesn't know what to say, to help you get through this. He was like, you go to a shrink to shrink your problems. That's who you need to be talking to. And when he said that, the light bulb in my head went off. And then that's when I started, seeking out therapy and seeking out help, for the things that I was dealing with, but it seems like everything else, I don't know. And I've been a fierce defender of Tyrese up until now, so that's my thoughts on that, man.
No, you 100% right. And my point, and I agree with everything you just said, is people, work on yourself, because, like a lot, like you said, a lot of people probably listen to him and they feel the exact same way, and they're going to use this as a way to express those feelings. And I think everybody, especially when you're black, you have to work on those feelings, because I know that there are a lot of people out there who feel that way. But we also got to realize our history. It's like a domestic violence victim. You get beat down so many times, it takes a while to get that courage up. So, we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of damage and baggage in our community that we're still working through, and it's going to take a while. And we got.
But here's the thing, and you know how long I've been talking about this subject matter on my YouTube channel, like since the beginning, since I started making podcasts. That was the first, podcast I ever did. It wasn't about celebrities. It was about that. And eventually I came to a point where I said the only way that things will get better between us, and it doesn't cost us anything, it doesn't cost $1 to look at the next black man or woman and just see yourself in them, for us to love each other. That's it. That is it. So it's like, if we look around at other races and see that they're at a certain point and we're not, it's literally because they have that for each other. They have some, for the most part, I'm not saying it's perfect. Like, they're all lovey-dovey, it's all rainbows and all of that. But there is some sort of collective unity amongst them. Not only like socially, but economically, politically, they are all, on one accord for the most part. We don't have that. And it literally, it's just like, socially, we're so divided that we can never have those things until we start to view each other as one people. People like to talk about, oh, we're all humans, right? But for black people, it's just like, oh, because you're half Cuban, that makes you any different than me? Because like we always say, I'm like, yo, you get pulled over, what the police gonna see? Dark skin. And what is that associated with? Blackness. because your mother is black. See what I'm saying?
Right.
Because, my friends might be from, their parents might be from different, places. Does that mean that they're any different than me? No, it just means that they're from a different tribe. But we all come from the same continent. Black people do. So that's what we need to focus on. So that's what, I think the takeaway should be. So if you're somebody, you've made it to the end of this, and, you want to know how black people can collectively move forward, that's how we do it. We do it by loving ourselves, seeing yourself in the next black man or woman, and then recognizing that we are still one people. And then we'll be able to figure everything else out from there. So those same values that other races have, we can have that too, collectively. You don't have to be related to somebody to feel like, yo, I'm related to them in some way. But that's where it starts. So anyway, what are your thoughts? Please be sure, as always, to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.
What kind of family?